if you want to start and grow your landscaping business from 0 to 100K and beyond, you're going to go through a lot of exciting adventures because you didn't learn how to do this in school. You can watch 100 YouTube videos, but you have to actually just get out there, roll up your sleeves, and get your hands dirty. You have to work in the rain. You have to deal with clients that are sometimes you just totally undercharged and you did a job for free, or they're trying to take advantage of you, or you did something wrong. You have to go back and fix it. You hire an employee and then they're not showing up. There's so much stuff you go through that you thought you're trying your best and doing everything right, and yet it's not producing the results. And it's highly frustrating to the point where sometimes you got to go through that stuff and learn lessons. Like your subconscious mind is reshuffling the deck because you're learning, like, I don't know exactly why, but don't do this. Or I don't know exactly why, but do this. And you have to like kind of guide and find mentors and coaches, and not only people on YouTube, but in real life. It says a whole transformational journey that gives you multiple master's degrees by running a freaking service business. And it's really hard and it's exciting. And then you can finally start hitting wins and making a lot of money. And then for no reason at all, I could talk about this for hours. And I just want to say that there's this one specific thing that keeps coming to mind that's so powerfully important to me. I'm fortunate enough, and I'm very blessed. One of my best friends is like this super high level. He's the most conscious human I know. I call him Coach Rob. He's a life coach. He's all these different things. He's a private mastery coach. And he has an ability to look at something from a completely like quantum observational, just collecting information perspective and sorting for what's useful. And he's so conscious that I could bounce stuff off him, and always could, when I'm going through what he calls the swirl. It's when you're stuck in an emotional swirl and you're attached. And so I would call him up 11 o'clock at night after landscaping 13 hours. I'd be like, Rob, can you please talk for a few minutes? And he'd be like, either he could or he couldn't. If he couldn't, I was holding my breath, panicky, because I didn't want to dump all this crap on my wife. So luckily he could pick up the phone at times, and I'd be like, Rob, I'm really sorry. I know it's late. I know you're busy. Can I please share some problem I'm going with in my landscaping business? And I'm like, please, please, please. And he'd be like, what's on your mind, Kelfus? So I would tell him, like, bro, I had an employee start cussing on a job site, or maybe something went wrong, or the customer thought it was going to be this, but it was really that. And so he would ask me these questions. He's like, well, did you verbally communicate this with your customer? And did you put it in the contract? And I would be like, well, no, because I didn't have time. No, I told the customer, but they thought I meant something else, and they thought that they were going to get this side done too for the same price. But I never intended any of that. And then he would say like, whoops. I'm like, oh, there's a mistake. So that's my fault. And then we would discuss that. And after a lot of these type of conversations, we discovered something. It was obvious to him, but not so obvious to me. So you have these blind spots. And here's what it was. He said, it sounds like your train is on tracks, and it's not set up to take turns at such high speeds. Every time it goes to take a turn, or something throws you for a turn, you fall off the tracks because you don't have enough structure. And structure is a form of consciousness in your business, as far as like the principles, and there's methods, there's systems, there's doctrines, there's maxims, there's legal, there's lawful, there's contracts, there's tacit agreement, there's all this crap that I don't have time for any of this crap. I'm starving. I have to make money. Oh my God, I got bills to pay. I got this. And my wife wants to spend time with me. Blah, blah, blah. And I would go into this emotional thing, right? And it felt so real because when you're exhausted, you're sleep deprived, you got a dog up all night that's throwing up all over the place, you got funerals to go to, you are caught in chaos and trying to run a business. And running a business, and then you got employees, and this one ain't showing. Like, it's one thing after another. And when you get in a reactive state emotionally, and you haven't strengthened and fortified yourself, and through the pressure, it could just rip you apart, and you don't know where the limit is. You'll just work yourself to death and make no money. And then while you're going through that, you go on social media and see all these people making all this money and talking about all this money they're making, and you could just literally go insane. I was going insane. And so he kept encouraging me to be, and he'd say things like, you have to install some structure into your business. And every time he said that, he was like, okay, let's, document and figure out what went wrong, and then put a policy in place to prevent that from happening again, or you'll know what to do when it happens. Like if an employee repeatedly isn't showing up on Mondays, or if you don't have a standardized price chart for that mulch, or you don't have a simple system of how you measure garden beds and how you charge the client for decorative stone, or how do you price this, or how do you book things in your calendar, and how do you deal with documenting and tracking everything going on in your business. To me, I could just say it now, it makes perfect sense. But back then, I was in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, if we talk about neuroscience for a second, the amygdala in your brain goes into the fight or flight mode. Your sympathetic nervous system gets overly reactive. You start dumping cortisol into your bloodstream. Your muscles tighten. Your breathing gets shallow. If you go into a panic, your focus narrows down, and you literally become like a chimpanzee running for your life. And you can get stuck in this reactive fight or flight mode till your stomach hurts, you're not eating, or you're binge eating. So you're either rapidly gaining weight or losing weight. You're not getting sleep. Now you're getting in fights with your significant other because you're in such a reactive state. You feel like you're being attacked. So you just become a mess. Your employees don't respect you. Your clients can see that you're running around like neurotic on their properties. And excuse me, just talking about it, my neck was getting tense, buddy, because I've been there. So, and the funniest thing is when you're going through that, nobody cares. If anything, you're stressing other people out. And so I would say stuff like this, and Rob would be like, and none of this is neither good nor bad, nor right or wrong. It's just relative to the experience you're having and others are having of you. And that's all it is. And that's the good news. I said, that's the good news. It's good news because at any moment you can change it and you can fix it. And it's going to feel risky. It's going to feel like you're dying. And it's really not you're dying. You're not dying. It's just ego death. That you're realizing that your train isn't set up to take turns at such high speed. You're on a mountain bike pedaling in first gear as fast as you can, going nowhere. And you're freaking out. And you have to, if you learn that you can actually just reach up and hit second gear, third gear, fourth gear. And when you put some systems in your business where it feels like something that you don't have time to do because you're exhausted and you're running, you learn all these amazing things that when you do it, those are the things that put you in second, third, fourth, and fifth gear. And now you can make more money and slow down a little. And like, I always think about like this. Imagine like how the sun, and you know how like Mars and Venus and Earth and Jupiter and all the different planets, how they're all perfectly, somehow chronologically designed to be the perfect space and time and gravity, so they revolve around the sun like a Swiss watch, and how everything is perfect, infinitumly mathematically perfect all the way down to the like the Fibonacci sequence of like the cells and the atoms from, you know what I'm talking about. Everything takes on a new orbit. Instead of being chaotic and DeFi and wobbly, it restores back into balance. And now you can ride that up to like 150 grand. Like you can get to the next level and your money goes up, your sanity goes up, you start getting better sleep. If you have employees or you know how to hire employees, you get a simple employee training system. You are not afraid of payroll and workers' comp and taxes and Uncle Sam because now you're charging appropriately, and you have a money management system that helps you quantify that. And now you can very, very, very quickly go from being chaotic and stressed out and broke, running around like a chicken with your head cut off, to having an abundant business. You go from chucking a truck to Possibility Pete to Abundant Anthony. We've like mapped this out to where now you can like there's money in the bank. The trucks are actually clean, or your truck is clean. The job sites are organized. Your calendar is organized. There's money in the bank. You got food in the fridge. There's Christmas presents under the tree. And it's very rewarding. It's satisfying. And now you can show up at a family event and you've had time to go home and take a shower and put on some nice clothes, and you don't have bags under your eyes, and now you can be present with your family type stuff. Like, this is a huge deal. And so, but how does all this work? There's a lot of, I've read 480 books, and I've counted every single book I've ever read. And Cosmic Consciousness by David Data. It's fascinating. He talks about the lines, levels, states, and stages of consciousness. And I won't get into that now. But you can hit level 10 on a certain line of consciousness and go to the stage 10 or level 10. Cause this is a lot to describe, and I'd have to put my brain there to really think about it. But then you're still like a level 0 or a 1 on this next line of consciousness, right? And what I mean is, like, you might be really good and you've developed a skill set of just working your tail off and saying yes to customers, but you haven't gotten really good at selling, or maybe you suck at marketing, or maybe that, but you feel like you don't have time to do all this other stuff, but because you're so busy doing all the work. And it's like when you take the risk and you hire, not out of desperation, but you get 1 or 2 or 3 employees that are good and they actually handle like 90% of the work, the labor, and they're crushing it and doing a good job. And you are forced to accept the fact that you can actually, like, take your hand off of, like, the spatula that's cooking or the cut, off the tools, and focus on marketing and sales and operations and making sure the business is running smooth because you actually have employees that are doing a good job. You're forced to wake up to this new reality that, wow, that whole victim story you might have been telling yourself was nothing more than a victim story that was all in your head. It was real, because if you put somebody out of the frying pan into the fire and they're really going through all that, it's tough, and you will go into a reactive state because you're trying to I hate when people tell me, well, you're trying to do too many things at once. Like, okay, so I don't even want to go into it because when you run a business as a solo operator and you have to be present with your family and make sure all the bills are paid and grocery shopping and cleaning and cooking and taking care of your, and then let's say somebody opens up the trailer doors of your landscaping trailer, like, why is this a mess? There's no excuse. This should be perfectly clean. Or why is your truck dirty? Or why is your QuickBooks, how come all your books aren't perfectly reconciled and you don't have, like, this is like a whole nother story for another time, but I was in Phoenix with my friend DJ Carroll, a very successful guy. He's also a business coach. I was asking him, like, so, like, how are your finances so organized? He'd be like, well, my bookkeeper and my accountant take care of that. I said, yeah, but, like, how do you get all the work done in your business? He'd be like, well, my employees handle that. I'm like, yeah, but who does all the administrative work and runs all the payroll and answers the phones? I'm like, how do he goes? He's like, my office manager does that. And everything that I said, he had some buddy who did that. And I'm looking at him. And he's like, handing out $20 bills to, there was like somebody who was like homeless or something. And he was like, he's an abundant Anthony. He's abundant in his thinking in his business and refuses to think any other way. That made a huge impact to me. See, the proximity effect is when you make friends with the really successful people who think differently and they have the results. And they also have a hard story. They came up and almost just as hard or worse than you did, and they figured out how to make it work. You have no choice but to get over your lame excuses. That's tough. And that's good that it's tough, because what it does is it allows you to, like, realize that your feeling of being overwhelmed is just a lack of systemizations at business and at home. Because let's just say if somebody audited your time and you were saying you're working so hard and you're so overwhelmed, but then they find out that if they audited your time, oh, what were you doing scrolling on social media for 6 straight hours? Or you spent 18 hours this week doing social media? You could have got on QuickBooks and balanced your books. You could have found an employee. You could have done this. Yeah, but I'm burned out and I'm exhausted. Well, maybe you are. So it's like, I don't know what it is for you. I don't want to get into the weeds here. But if you want what you say you want as bad as you want it, and just to say this is not your fault, maybe you thought it was going to be a little bit easier than this. You didn't know it was going to be this hard. And every step you take, it's like the work triples. It is really freaking hard. These people that run multiple businesses or multiple 6-figure businesses, these are people who have rolled up their sleeves and they have put in the really seriously hard work. The work that that some of us avoid, these people do that type of work. They hire a coach or a consultant and pay 5, 10, 15, 20 grand. They'll fly across the country and go to a mastermind group and spend and invest their time to sit down and get around other professionals and people who are leaders, and they take notes until their hand doesn't work, and they go and they get a coach and they implement this stuff into their business, and they work through the hard times. Of course, they have anxiety, they cry, they pray, they have bad days, but they keep going after it again and again and again and again. So it's like, if there's something that is really, really frustrating you in your business, and it's a blind spot and it seems so hard, I believe, like Tony Robbins says, the fastest path is to get around other successful people who have been through that and they've done it, and start to model what they've done. I've met way too many people who are just so incredibly successful at the stuff that I suck at or that other people can't do. And they're people who have gone through tremendously hard times. So I'm at the point now I realize, and if you're not like trying to sell newspapers and like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not really a booming business, newspapers. Like, we got digital media. If you're in a business that is booming, you know, landscaping, window cleaning, pressure washing, plumbing, electrical, you can get into technology. There's all types of stuff. There's unlimited industries. If it's a booming industry and people are succeeding in it, and people have done amazing things and grown very wildly successful businesses. And I'm not talking about a huge business. I mean a business that might just be a few $100,000 a year, but it's lean and mean, and it's a profitable business, and it works, and it has minimum viable systems. And it's something where you can, you know, work 45 hours a week and make really good money, and be able to take a breath and decide what you want to do from there. Like, if anybody can do it, you can do it. I just want to know that you can do this. I want you to know that you got this, and that you can make this work. And a lot of the pain and suffering and hard is in your mind and the way that you respond and react. A lot of it is the sitting on the fence. Running a landscaping business is actually can be fun and easy. Elf business, easy, lucrative, and fun. If you're not so overly emotionally reactive to the wrong clients. And it's hard sometimes to let go of clients, or you keep hanging on to clients that just aren't your clients because you've outgrown them. And but what I've learned is there's an unlimited flow of new clients, and you can build an amazing business that you love and that you're proud of, and you can make a lot of money and do very well for yourself.